Hey guys, my name is Girish, the host for Back2Basics. I hope you're enjoying all the episodes that I've done so far, and I'm doing this every day. Isn't that crazy? Well, anyway, so today's guest, we have an author, we have a speaker, and we are going to say a motivational speaker. Yeah, we're going to get into that too. So he also has some other exciting stuff that we're going to talk about, and he's just great. I've talked to him many years time, and he's a great person to talk to and chat with and have a drink with too. But today we're not going to have a drink. We're going to talk about his journey and his 3-part journey of his books too. So Bob, how are you? And thanks for coming to Back to Basics.
Oh, Girish, so nice to see you. Delighted to be with you today. I'm really happy that you invited me here, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you again. So before we get into all the 3 parts of your journey and the new venture that you are getting into or going through right now, what does Back to Basic mean to you?
Back to basics mean to me is getting back into the core of what you want to do in life. Like, what do you want? Forget about what other people expect of you, your spouse, your friends, your family, your kids, your boss, but what do you want to contribute to the world? I think we have to do some inner listening to understand, to get back to basics. So to me, that's what it means, is listen to yourself, listen to that tiny voice that is often being drowned out by all the distractions and the noises, that tiny voice that says, you need to do this, you need to do this, and follow and listen to that voice. That's what it means to me.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Bob. Because, I ask these same questions to almost every guest of mine, and it comes out really differently to everyone. And I thank you for that, because we need other different perspective when it comes to these type of questions. So thank you again, Bob, for that. So Bob, thank you again for coming on Back to Basics. It's definitely an honor that you are here, and thank you again for the support. So you're at 3 things. You are a author, and you're a motivational speaker, and then you're a management advisor. So how do you manage your life? That's first thing. How do you do that?
Oh my God. Oh, it's crazy. It's very crazy these days. I also have children. I have 3 children and a spouse who's busy working. I think what I try to do is I wake up every morning, and before I go to bed, I think about my next day, and I think about what's the most important thing I need to accomplish on that day. One of my mentors and gurus is Tracy, a big time motivational speaker, author. I took a course with him once, and he wrote a book called Eat the Frog. And that book is a massive bestseller. But one of the things that core message is, the frog is the ugliest, hardest thing you have to do during the course of the day, and likely the most important. And he said, first thing in the morning, if you eat the frog, meaning if you do the worst and most difficult task of your day, the rest of the day seems easy in comparison.
Sure.
And so the way I manage, all my life and all the things that I've got going on is to think about the night before, what do I have to accomplish? The hardest thing I have to do the next day, and I focus on that. That's kind of how I manage it. I try not to think about, the second thing I do is I try not to think about too far out in the future, and really look more at the present in terms of the next 48 hours. Yes, I have long-term goals that I want to achieve. I have some notion of where I want to try to go to in my life. But more importantly, it's the deliverables, the day-to-day, what's the most important thing. That's kind of how I manage my life and my schedule. And then I look at kind of like, okay, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, what do I want to achieve? What is the outcome I'm looking for, the result I'm looking for? Not necessarily a specific goal, but really an outcome, a feeling of what I'm trying to feel like 6 months from now. That Bob, who's 6 months older, what does he want to be? What does he want to feel? Where does he want to, what friends does he want to be with? People he want to be with? That's kind of how I manage my life and think that way. Short term, 48 hours, and then longer term in terms of the next 6 months out.
Yeah, thank you so much. Because sometimes it's better to have short-term goals, and you can reach better versus the 10-year goals or the 5-year goals. Is that what you're trying to say?
Absolutely. I mean, in my career, I worked at one of the largest companies in the world, Pfizer, for 23 years. And, all of the things that I thought I was going to achieve changed a lot.
Yes.
because you have a 5-year plan. 5 year, it's too long.
Sure.
You can't predict what's going to happen in 3 months, nonetheless 3 years. It's impossible.
It is
So
impossible.
many people think about, 10 years from now I'm going to do this. I don't, you know what? It's too grand for me. I can't
That's
handle
right.
that.
That's
I
right.
just need to be practical and say, all right, I don't know what's going to happen next week, Girish.
That's right.
I
That's
don't know
right.
what's going to. So,
That's
and the
right.
marketplace changes so quickly. So I'm launching a new, startup this past year, and the marketplace changes so fast every single day that any predictions that I'm going to try to make for a year, 2 years, 3 years is completely pointless.
Yeah.
What I have to do is to be flexible and
Sure.
move with the environment very fast. As long as I have a mission, a mission of trying to do something, help somebody, solve a problem for somebody. As long as I have that mission, that core mission, then you can kind of be flexible and adapt in the way you think.
Yeah.
So really, it's short-term strategies. It's really practical things. Next day, next day, next
Of
day, kind
course.
of
Of
thing that
course. Of
really
course.
work well.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you again, Bob. And just give me 1 second. Let me go and talk to my audience 1 second, if you don't mind. So what we are talking about is that corporate life is not boring. Corporate life is exciting, depending on what you want to do. We are not saying that corporate life sucks. We're just saying that this is not for him. His mission was something else. So it's like saying that you want a fixed-minded person or a growth-minded person, and he wanted to get into the growth-minded person. He wanted to think out of the box, and that's what he was trying to do. So just make sure you listen to one of my episodes regarding fixed mindset and growth mindset. Hopefully you'll figure that out, and you'll enjoy that episode too. So Bob, so thank you again for that. Now, treat your customers, embrace the chaos, and make your own luck. Now, these are the 3 books that you have created. And according to you and what I've read so far is a 3 stage of your life. Am I right?
That's about right. Yes, that's right.
So tell me the first, second, and third in short ways if you can. So
Sure. No. So thank you for that. So I grew up in New Jersey. My family had a Dairy Queen ice cream store growing up, on Oak Tree Road, and so there was all these lessons. My family, we worked hard. We were immigrants. We had nothing, and we worked really hard to build a small family business. It was Dairy Queen. I got a job after college at Pfizer, and I loved that job. I loved working at Pfizer. I really, it was very enjoyable in the early years of my part of my career. And I grew. I grew a lot. I got promoted, moved into corporate headquarters. And then as I grew in the corporate headquarters, I realized part of my success was due to the lessons I had learned at the Dairy Queen,
sure,
right?
sure,
Small business, but it was powerful, big lessons that could be applied to large companies like Pfizer, lots of other organizations. And so I reflected on that in my life, and I wrote this book called Treat Your Customers,
sure.
30 Lessons on Service and Sales I Learned at My Family's Dairy Queen store. So it was these small lessons like always replace a dropped ice cream cone. It was about integrity, doing the right thing. The boss is not the customer, which is not, don't try to impress your boss, but do the right by your
Do the right.
customer. So it was these little lessons. So that's what was the first chapter of my life, if you will, of working in corporate America at Pfizer, which I enjoyed my job. I grew, I was very successful, and I took a reflection on what I learned, and that was that book, Treat Your Customers. The second part of my life and my career was I grew very fast at Pfizer, and then I got stuck. There was a lot of change in the workplace, a lot of change in the organizations, mergers, acquisitions, layoffs, and cuts. And so it kind of made me freeze, and I stopped growing. I got stuck. There was so much uncertainty, unpredictability, and chaos that I kind of froze, and I didn't know how to grow my career and my life. And I was struggling. And so I had this trip to India where I kind of revisited India with a friend. And I realized that life is in chaos. Like in India, if you go to India, there's tons of people everywhere. It's just very chaotic. And then I realized on the trip back is that I needed to relearn how to embrace the chaos. I needed to learn how to let go and move forward. And that was the second chapter of how I reinvented my career at Pfizer from being stuck to growing again. And that was the book called Embrace the Chaos. And it's really about how do you move forward in uncertain times, like we face these days, I guess.
Sure.
And so that was about change and how do you deal with change and how do you adapt and so on. And then I left Pfizer and I became a motivational speaker. that was my dream. And I wanted to share this message. The book became bestseller. Embrace the Chaos did really well. So I get invited to speak to lots of different companies. And then, over the last several years, as the marketplace changed and with COVID, my speaking piece sort of, was closed. There was no speaking gigs.
Sure.
Everything was closed. And so I wrote a book called Make Your Own Luck, which is with a friend who is a big venture capitalist in India. And so he invested 100 grand in a startup, made 100 million, like crazy amount of money. And so we're talking about notion of luck and how that plays into life. And what we realize is that luck is about choices and chances that you take that are unusual and different. Yes, 30, 40, 50% of it is completely left up to the randomness of the universe. But a lot of it are the choices that we make and the chances that we take. And so what we wrote about was how startups, which is the stage of my career I'm in now, I'm running a startup called Hoot. But the idea is, how can we take the lessons that we learned about chance and randomness and luck and apply them to our career? And if we're doing sales, if we're an organization, if you're in business, if you're running a company, if you're running a team, how do you create luck in your life and in your business and your startup? And that is fundamentally about doing different things, not being the same, but being different. So that's kind of the evolution of my career. Each of these books kind of represents 3 pillars of how I've, had these different chapters and have I've learned to reinvent myself and to grow. That's kind of the way the books have turned out.
Of course. I just want to tell everyone this, and including my listeners and viewers, that there's no such thing as small jobs. Okay? This is just my thought process. Maybe Bob, you might have a different thought process on that. But my thought process is that there's no such thing as small jobs. I mean, when I started this in the U.S., when I came here, my actual first job was that I was in McDonald's flipping burgers. There's no shame. There's no shame of saying that, because that was part of my journey. Okay, I learned my skill that I was damn good at it. Then slowly I became a customer service guy. Then I became a tech support guy. Then I went into IT for the last 25 plus years. Okay, I've done radio jockey back in my young days, and now look where I am today. I'm a technologist with a podcast show. So every step of my journey is a journey of my success. That's my success. It could be a long success, which is totally fine, but it is success from my point of view. So I guess I embrace my chaos in many, many different ways. Yours went through a different way, and whoever's listening here and whoever's watching here, everyone's chaos is very different. So yeah, thank you for that, and trying to make me understand from my point of view that whatever I did, I don't think I did anything wrong. I think it's just part of a stage of my life. That's just what it is. So, yeah. So thank you.
No, and so just to talk us a little bit about that journey. You wouldn't be where you are today if you hadn't done each of those things. Like, you had to go through the journey of the ups and downs and the flipping of the burgers to customers. You had to do all of those things that lead you to this point.
Of course.
If you didn't do those things, you might be in a different place, right?
That's right. Yeah. So thank you again for that, because I think that's just hard work, and I think it pays off. I guess eventually it'll pay off. So thank you. So now your fourth stage of your life is the hoot. When we say hoot, we're like hoot, right? Yes. So explain the name, how that name came up, and then what is this hoot all about?
Sure. Hoot is a healthcare technology company that was started last year and during COVID. My speaking career was over because the speaking gigs I had for motivational speaking were closed. All the venues were closed during COVID and lockdown. Yes, you do some Zoom calls here and there, but it wasn't as much. And so I was sitting in my wife's office. My wife is an optometrist, and she needed help with some problems she was dealing with in her business. And so I realized, and I had helped her all throughout my career, on the side, help my wife. And so this Hoot was born as a result. Hoot is, the owl, the Hoot. It's
yes.
It's basically Hoot Health Inc. is the name of my company. And basically, she was seeing more private pay patients who were specialty care. So these kids with, issues, with myopia, with nearsightedness, called nearsightedness. And so she didn't have a system on her end to manage her interaction with these parents and these children, and because traditional electronic medical records didn't do it. And as I was sitting in her office, because I didn't want to work from home, I wanted to be in her office, I wanted to get out of the house.
Sure.
I would observe these problems that she and her staff were dealing with, and they were using an Excel spreadsheet to manage. And I'm like, this is not like good. You can't use Excel because it's not actionable. So I created I created content, I created a software solution. I don't know anything about software. I'm not a technologist, but I hired a couple of people and I said, listen, let's create a piece of software that can help my wife solve a problem of managing the relationships she has with these parents and these customers and these patients that she has. And so we built the system and we added more and more pieces to it. And I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a product. This is a CRM kind of a product for doctors.
Sure.
And I'm like, what? It doesn't exist? No, it doesn't exist. And so we're basically creating a physician CRM, which is customer relationship management software tool that has content that doctors, at least now eye doctors, can use to help grow their business and grow their practice and reach out to patients. So that's Hoot. And it's really born out of a need to help one person, which is my wife. And I realized that, there's potential for this with other doctors. And that's kind of what we're doing, is now sharing that and getting new customers with this solution. That's where Hoot was born. It was the need to help other people.
So let me ask you this question here. For Hoot, is it patent?
Yes.
It is patent. Okay.
That's right.
And now you are launched already, and it's ready to go?
Yeah. We did a soft launch over the summer. We launched a minimum viable product. And, I had no idea how to do a startup. Girish. I worked in corporate America, big company, big budgets, big teams. And, this is one of the hardest things I've had to do at this age of my life. I'm 51. And to launch a startup that I have no idea how to do.
Sure.
But I have good friends and, sort of they helped me. But basically, we launched a minimum viable product over the summer. We sent out some marketing promotion. Some doctors signed up, practices. They're paying, they're signing up. We're having problems, no doubt. Features are adding all the time and product is changing. And we officially basically have been out in the market now for a couple of months, about 3-4 months now. And, we're doing well. We're adding new customers. We're learning new things. I think the most important thing I learned is to be flexible. Sure. You don't have to have the right product right now, because the product will change so much based on what the marketplace needs.
That's right.
So as to be mission focused, not product focused.
Yeah.
Meaning mission is to help other doctors like my wife, other optometrists, grow and scale their private pay part of their practice. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do, is that mission. Yeah. And then that mission can be done in so many different ways, right? Software solutions, support, having a community setting. So there's a lot of different things that we can offer, but that's kind of where my journey is right now.
Yeah. Thank you again, Bob. And there was a reason why I asked that question. So let me go and talk to my audience on that part, okay? Now, listen to what he actually said. He's age 51. He has gone through 3 chaoses in his life, okay? Even though that is just one chaos. You know what I mean. Well, anyway, so he started a startup. He did not have proper capital. He didn't have proper education of how to start up a startup. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Now it's all about learning. Now you can start up anything what you want, and he has resolved an issue that it was an issue and now not anymore. He has also figured out how to create a patent also. So it's all about understanding and learning and be creative at the same time. Anyone can do it. If Bob can do it and I can do it, and I started this podcast without zero knowledge of what to do, and look where I am today. So it's all about understanding and learning. So I hope that's thank you again, Bob, for explaining to people about entrepreneurship too at the same time, because you know what, people, they just don't know how to start, because people, they think when they need to start something they need capital and great education. But that is not true. And we're not saying education is bad. We're just saying that you just need a little more push when you do this. So thank you again for that.
Just get started. The most important thing is to get started. You're 100% right. I don't have a full-time team. I have freelancers. I use Upwork, which is a great site for getting freelancers all over the world. And the thing is, I looked around and I modeled. The other strategy I use is modeling. I looked around at businesses that are similar, and I said, okay, how do I get from here to there? They're huge. They're massive billion-dollar companies, organizations. What do I have to do? And you always start with step one, which is what's the problem I'm trying to solve. And then the second is saying, okay, draw out some sort of piece of paper or printer paper with some sort of solution that you think is going to solve the problem.
Yeah.
And then you find the resources through these freelancers that you will discover, that you can pay, hourly to kind of help you in this journey. And piece by piece by piece, brick by brick by brick, you build a beautiful house. That's how you do it. You don't build all the house at one time.
Of course
you do
not.
it brick by brick.
That's right.
And that's kind of one of the things that's important.
That's right. So, Bob, thank you again, by the way. So, last question, if you don't mind. The last question is that I know that you don't think out in the future for 5 years and you only think 48 hours. But my next question is going to be, what is for the next 5 years for you? Because you have done so much already. You've already done 20 plus years of your Pfizer job, and then you're doing a couple of years doing your book, you're speaking, and Hoot, and I guess Hoot 2.0 too, hopefully, if everything goes well. So what is it for the next 5 more years?
I want to build a company. What I want to do is, from a professional life, is to take Hoot to the next level, which means, to help more people, to help more doctors, to build more practices with the software, with this solution. I'd like to have a team that is consistent with my goals, with the mission, what we're trying to do, and to make it a bigger company, a bigger organization by serving other people. Mm-hmm. So, we have a number of practices that are part of this, using our platform right now, and we want to grow that by 10, 20, 30, 50x. We want to grow dramatically, and that's really the goal. The goal is to have an organization, a company that serves doctors in a legitimate, credible, meaningful way that makes their life a lot easier. And I wake up every day thinking about the customers that I have and the problems that they face. I don't think necessarily about my business per se, but I think about the customer. And so anything that the customer needs, I want to build more, better, faster, stronger, so that they can be served in a meaningful way. So 5 years from now, what I see is an organization that serves a lot more people. That's really the goal for me. Yeah. And personally, I have kids who are going to be entering college, and so getting them settled into a good school, a good fit for a program. That's the other part of my goal. Sure.
That's your personal life, and that is also as important as your other life too. So yeah, thank you for that. And Bob, before you leave today, do you have any last words for Back to Basics? And I want to thank you again for coming on the show, for sure.
Sure. I think one number one thing I would recommend is to move forward, take action, do something, contribute, be useful to somebody in the world, because we get so stuck in the chaos, we get so stuck in the complexity and the uncertainty of COVID and work and this, that, and the other, and life. It gets very, very messy, and we stop moving, we stop creating, stop inventing. And what I'm suggesting is, you can't predict it, you can't predict the change, you can't predict the future. Let go of the past and move forward. Take action, get going, serve. When you do that, things have a way of working out. You're going to either do great things or you're going to fail. And fail, you're going to learn. You're going to learn, and you're going to get better, faster, stronger. And eventually you're going to find success. So to me, I think it's all about moving forward and continuing to move forward in life, in whatever you're doing, whatever your goals might be. And I think you're going to do great. People are going to be very successful as long as you keep moving forward.
Yeah. Thank you again, Bob, for coming here and giving me a little insight about who Bob is, because I've known you for so many years, and it seems like I know you more. And the Hoot that you have created, hopefully it'll be 2.0 and 3.0, and I'm glad that Back to Basics was part of that also. So thank you again for all the support that you have given me so far.
Thank you, Girish. Thank you for having me, and thank you for what you do. I think the message that you're sharing with the world and your listeners and your audience is really powerful. And so keep it up. Thank you for what you do. Really grateful for what you do. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again. God bless and take care.
Take care.
So, guys, we spoke with Bob today, and we talked about the hoot, the chaos, the books, the motivational speakers, and failures. And in Back to Basics, we don't talk about failures. We only talk about step backs, because you know what? Those are step backs. Those are not failures. So just keep that in mind too. So as usual, as always, there is a quote of the day from Back to Basics, and the Back to Basics quote of the day is, "Maybe I have picked a hole in the sky and the universe was all about to fall in on me." Now, guys, as usual, as always, what do I always say at the end of the episode? Remember, everything in life goes back to basics, and that's what we did today. Now, every episode that I've done so far, please comment. Good, bad, ugly, either way, it'll make my show stronger, because that's what we're trying to do here. And there are three things, top three things that I have in this show. Great content, great guest on my show, and definitely the greatest host. So guys, take care, God bless, and I will see you next week. I hope you like that, Bob, huh?
That was fantastic. Great job.
Yeah, thank you. I guess I'm getting a little better at it now, huh?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. You did great. That was great.
Yeah. Thank you again for all the support, and I think I will know in a couple of days, or I should say, if you want to know the release date, I can tell you the release date now. Actually, give me a second. Apparently, we're all organized now, huh?
Your CFO is managing it well.
Yeah, I think so. November 10th.
Okay, terrific.
So, like a week before that, I usually send out a marketing tool and all that stuff, and you'll have that. And I think I'll hijack your photo from your website, and I'll get some bio out of there, if that's okay with you, because I like to take permission before I hijack it, and fine. And then it's definitely on my show notes and all that. So Bob, thank you again for all doing this. Take care. God bless.
Have a great day. Take care. Bye.
Next week's episode on Back to Basics is called Gold Spun. When I actually read that, the first thing seriously came in my mind is Rumpelstiltskin. Okay.
Good. Then I did a good job titling it.
Awesome. Because that's the first thing came in my mind. You know, spinning up the wheel and spinning up the string and with gold and all that stuff. Was that the thought process, or was there something else that you were thinking?
That is exactly it. Because I had the story before I had the title.
Okay.
So I went through several different titles playing around with the themes of straw and gold and transformation and spinning to kind of come up with both what felt right for the story as well as, what was not already out there as a book.
Yeah. So obviously you have already answered this question, but it seems like you wrote the book